And we're back. So that was Murder. That was a whodunit. I think that it could have, the suspense could have been built up in the following way. Do you remember the scene where the girl is in her cell and the clock is ticking and you're seeing the sunrise and you're seeing the noose and you realize that any second she's going to be hung? If they could have developed her character a little bit, if we would have known something about Diana other than that she worshipped Sir John and she wanted to be an actress, you know, if we could have really felt some sort of sense of urgency that she's about to be hung for something that she may or may not have done, that really could have been better. But it's not in the play. Also want to say that what was Sir John doing on the jury? I mean, if he knows the accused, at what point is it a good idea for him to be on this jury? That didn't make sense to me. So that's definitely a coincidence, and we see lots of coincidences in Hitchcock movies. This was no exception. It's a coincidence that he knew her and he's on this jury. Again, we loved the shadows, not as subtle as in Blackmail, but definitely the shadows where she is in prison and the bar is behind her. She's clearly in prison. You know, we're seeing Sir John at the end of the table with her. No bars on him, definitely bars behind her. Interesting. Did you see the cameo? Well, it was at 59 minutes and 42 seconds or so, 59:40. Definitely saw kind of some bumbling police. You know, why weren't the police investigating this? I mean, at what point did they come up with any of this stuff? Well, their investigation, as far as what we saw, was basically interviewing all the actors while the play was going on. So every time they'd ask a question, half of it would be answered and they'd go off and continue their part in the play. So Hitchcock really, as we talked about in our review of Blackmail, did not hold a high opinion. Well, that's to say that he you know, him and the police didn't get on well, and we'll see this again and again where the police really are not on your side. So now definitely we had a dark secret in this, and we want to talk about that for a little bit. The dark secret in this that was worth murdering over was that one woman was about to reveal to his fiancée that he was a Hofkost. That he had black blood, and which ironically, as Dan pointed out, she knew anyway. She already knew that he was a Hofkost, and he sort of bludgeoned this woman to death with a poker before she revealed this. In truth, this movie was actually more about homosexuality, and that Handel Fane was in fact gay. You just couldn't say that in a movie, in a mainstream movie in Britain in 1930. Hitchcock had as much as admitted that in interviews later, certainly in our Truffaut book. Yeah, it was a thinly veiled. That was the deep dark secret, that he would dare to love a woman, and he really had to kill over that. And it's kind of blurry, you know. He's this cross-dressing transvestite, trapeze guy, actor, effeminate type fellow, and really kind of blurry and misunderstood. We'll certainly see a little bit of that again in the movie Psycho with Anthony Perkins. Being the transvestite and what have you, and just kind of murky in Hollywood and in Britain in those days, not real well done. So, but if you're a Hitchcock fan and you're not committed to watching them all, you gotta watch this one. I mean, it definitely is about murder, and it's definitely got some innovative use of early sound, and certainly well done. What's that?
The long scene.
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say that. There's also innovation in cinematography, which we're going to see again in the movie Rope, Hitchcock's Rope. If you've not seen it, Rope is famous for having really long, continuous cuts where roll them, and they rolled for 20 minutes at a time, which is not an easy feat considering that the camera was moving and characters were moving and we're moving from room to room. Well, early on in the movie, when the crowd was in the murder scene and the police were there investigating, we go over to the room and we're making tea back and forth. That whole scene was continuous for 2 or 3 minutes, and quite unheard of at the time, and you know, interesting. No screaming hell, but interesting. I want to talk about the idea of why not a whodunit? Why didn't Hitchcock? Why does everyone else do whodunits? There's so many mystery theater. There's so much out there that is very, very good. We just watched the 2010 Sherlock, which is definitely just a big whodunit. Extremely well done, by the way. If you can seek that out, 2010. It's just called Sherlock. Get it on DVD. Wow, that wasn't his bag at all. He was more interested in suspense, and he loves to tell this story. He would say, imagine you've got two people sitting talking at a table, and they're having a normal conversation, and suddenly a bomb that's under the table goes off. Well, it's going to shock the audience, there's going to be blood and death, and you're just going to be shocked and surprised for a few minutes. That wasn't interesting to him. What was way more interesting to him was having the two people talking, and you know there's a bomb underneath the table. And they're talking about everyday things, and you're sitting there saying, stop talking about that stuff, there's a bomb underneath the table. And he wanted to put you through that visceral sort of torture of this suspense and knowing that. And here's why. It's about who knows more. Does the film know more than you do? Or do you know more than the film? And he loved it when you knew more than the film, when you knew something they didn't. And imagine if you've got someone who's broken into someone's room and they're trying to find the evidence, and you know, you see them in the room and it's dark and they've broken in and they're looking for something, and now the villain is walking up the stairs, and you know the villain is walking up the stairs, and you're yelling at them, get out, he's coming to get you. It even works when a bad guy is like that. When the bad guy is in there looking and you see the good guy coming, you're still sweating it out for the bad guy. So we agree, these are not horror movies, they're not scary movies, they're suspenseful movies. And Diane raised a good point that there's a little bit of suspense towards the end of this one, but not a ton, and that's really what Hitchcock wanted to do, and that's really what we're going to see for the rest of, well, with a few exceptions. There's a couple of comedies to see and a couple of romantic comedies to go through, but it is really about suspense, and thank goodness for that. So this movie was... what's that? Yeah, and, well, that's true, yeah. One of our favorite scenes, and I didn't see this is the fourth time I've seen this one, and I did not see this, when he enlists Ted and Ducey to help him, and they're having dinner at his house, and they're all about to have soup, and they're so out of place. I mean, nothing's working. The guy walks on the carpet, and it's the softest carpet he's ever walked on, so he's falling into the carpet. It's a little heavy-handed, but anyways, Ducey is about to have her soup, and Sir John is ready to eat his soup, and he's got the proper soup spoon. Well, she's got the wrong spoon. She's got this little tiny spoon. So being the nice guy that he is, Sir John puts down the proper spoon and picks up the little spoon and proceeds to eat the soup with this little tiny spoon. Very subtle, and yes, Hitchcock loved humor. No kidding, there's humor in all of these suspense thrillers. That's why they're worthwhile, that's why they're good. And boy, he honed his comedy timing and skills in The Farmer's Wife. You remember that one that we had to slog through? Well, no mistake. This certainly wasn't the best, but we're going to see lots and lots of funny scenes in these movies up to come. Just really quickly, other movies from this year to compare to. What won Best Picture in 1930 was a movie called All Quiet on the Western Front, a World War I epic. There is an excellent, excellent movie from 1930 called Hell's Angels, directed by Howard Hughes. If you've seen the movie The Aviator starring Leonardo DiCaprio, it's mostly about the filming of this movie. This is really good. It's one of Jean Harlow's first movies that made her a star. It is funny. It's some of the scenes, some of the war scenes, and it's pre-code, so that the censors wouldn't get there. So there's swearing in it. It's just a treat. If you can get Hell's Angels from 1930, please do so. It is excellent. Charming villain. Handel Fane, was he a charming villain? I don't know. I mean, he certainly wasn't somebody I suspected. Not exactly the charming villain that Hitchcock talked about, where he lured in his victims and was a bad guy. I think this was a moment of passion. He definitely was freaked out about the fact that he was caught red-handed. Well, not red-handed, but my favorite quote was when she's considering either being held in prison for life or being hanged, she sort of looks away and says, well, it can be no worse than the dentist. We thought that was really funny. Boy, brandy everywhere. We weren't kidding that brandy is in almost all these movies. It was ubiquitous in this one. What about the brandy? Why didn't I say something about the brandy? So yes, very often the climax in Hitchcock movies takes place at an iconic location or in something big, and no exception with this one, with music. Took place at the circus, the big suicide with Handel Fane, dressed up in a big Elton John outfit. I have to say that was over the top. We also had a female lawyer at the beginning. Did you guys all notice that? So last movie we had a hint of a female detective. And I don't know how many female lawyers there were in England in 1930, but I don't think there were that many. That was very interesting. Ageability, 0. I'd say, the movie itself is okay. But the big climax, ooh, he's a half-caste, or even worse. I mean, he's gay. We're kind of over that now. We've all seen Brokeback Mountain. It's not that interesting anymore. So no, I'd say very dated. Good. I think that's it. We enjoyed this one. So now next week we are moving on to movie number 8. It's called The Skin Game, and we're looking forward to it. So from our couch to yours, we'll see you next week.